If you can help us, pray. I'm saying, I'm past asking people. I'm saying, talk to God for me. God bless you. Why we got 3 chairs? Why you got so many chairs?
Because I imagine at some point we're going to have guests.
Oh.
All right, we're live.
Why you got...
Live on the channel. We're gonna end this out just like we began it. If I could get somebody, one of you people, to do a little better job there on camera too. We're gonna do some direction here, live and direct. So if you could zoom in slightly. That's good. I like that. That's pretty good. Yeah. Maybe down a little. Yeah, other down. Perfect. All right. So hello, people at home. You are watching your public access channel, URTV, channel 20 on cable, or maybe you're watching it on the webcast, or maybe you're seeing this much later in the future online. But right now we are live. It is 7:06-ish on Saturday afternoon, May 14th, 2011, and this may be the last live broadcast out of the Western North Carolina Community Media Center. So my name is Jonathan Zarni. I'm the operations manager here at the Media Center, and I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit. Whoever's show I just usurped by going live, I do apologize. But after nearly 5 years of not doing shows and helping everyone else do their shows, I figured I'm kind of owed one. So I'm going to take that opportunity at this point. I started here, for the viewing audience, I started here in September of 2006. And my first week was a tumultuous one, shall we say. Actually, don't do that curtain because we're going to take a camera out in the lobby here at some point. Thank you, though. I have minions now, so look out. I'm about to have an army of minions descend upon everybody. So it's been, it would be 5 years, I guess, this August that I've been involved here at the Media Center. And I actually started out as a producer. I had a lot of ideas of that I wanted to do. I graduated from UNC Asheville in 2005 with a degree in mass communication, and I had about 1.5 million ideas of what I was going to do with this great resource. And at this point, I think it's prudent to talk about how I got started and give a special thank you to the person who introduced me to public access and URTV in specific, and that is Kurt Mann. Kurt Mann was the first general manager of URTV, and if it weren't for him and meeting him by chance, I never would have heard about this thing or gotten involved. So, Kurt, if you're out there, he emailed me a little while ago and said that he knew that I was the right guy for the job. So he knew many years ago. He told me that this great new thing is going to be happening in Asheville, and you can get in on the ground floor, and you could be the face of URTV. I'm sure I'm not the only person I heard that pitch, but I bought it. So I was here and have been here pretty much every day since. So it has been, to quote the Grateful Dead, what a long, strange trip it has been. For those of you who have been watching this channel, the viewers at home, there's a lot of people who I think watch public access television specifically because it doesn't have a multi-million-dollar budget look. And that's why you like it. That's why we all kind of like it, because the people that are on this channel are your friends, they're your neighbors, they're the people you've seen at the bus station, there's that weird homeless street preacher that's you see in the park every now and then. Pretty much it's people in your community that you know and love or hate are here on this channel, because this is our channel. As a community, it's your channel. So that is kind of the whole point, right? So in the beginning, I do want to say thank you to all the people who have been watching and maybe haven't had a way to express their gratitude. There's a lot of people, I think, who watch this channel who may never get to see any of the people that are on it or ever get to go anywhere to any of the fun events or be a guest on a show or been a part of a shoot or been in a class. So to those of you people at home that are watching, I think all our producers have been doing this for you. So keep that in mind, that these people have always been trying to communicate with you and with each other, and that's kind of the beauty of the whole thing. In the beginning, for those of you who've been watching this entire time, you may have remembered what the programming was like. And by programming, I mean there was none. We actually had to have a camera on a live fish, Sushi, we affectionately nicknamed him, on a beta fish with the schedule of the program scheduled for that day, which was maybe 2 or 3 shows. So there was fishbowl cam for about 6 hours a day, and community bulletin board, which is kind of like PowerPoint slides, about 8 hours overnight. So not a lot of programming in the beginning because we were like a brand new little baby and nobody really knew how to hold the baby. Nobody knows how to hold the baby. So this baby is now a teenager, and the development that has happened in this community has been over these 4 years absolutely outstanding, and I feel honored to have been a part of it from the beginning and seen all the different transitions. I did take some notes here and trying to think about some things because a lot has happened. People who use the Media Center have met me before and seen some of the things that have happened here. And a favorite phrase of mine is never a dull moment. And that is absolutely true, has been true pretty much from day one. It's never been a dull moment around here, and that's because we are dealing directly with people. There is no filter between regular people and you, the audience. Anybody can come in here and use this, and that comes with a whole other set of challenges that most of you, if you've never been in the Media Center, have never seen or encountered. So let me tell you, that's been fun. Well, I was going to invite somebody in here, but as you can see, we have a guest spot here on the chair. So at this point, I do have a special guest, live and direct host. Oh wait, he's not ready. Host of at least 2 programs on this channel. The first one I think was I've got actually one of my favorite stories about what's happened here was Mount Dungeon, and the second show, of course, is the Matt Howard Live program. So I give it to you now, Matt Howard. Welcome back.
Thank you, Jonathan. Welcome back. Yeah, this is kind of weird because I have not been live from the studio in years.
So, right.
Yeah, here I am.
So tell me a little bit about, I was thinking about all day today, and in fact a little longer than that, some of the things that have happened. It's been a lot has happened here in these walls.
You could say that, yeah.
And one of my favorite moments that I remember to this day, being very specific, is Paul Snow was I think his title was production manager. He essentially did what I do now. He was essentially the operations manager. Taught the classes, took the field gear, did the maintenance on the equipment, but I think his title was production manager. But he was the original guy here doing that. And I remember the very first time, I think it was episode 1.
It was the filming of the first episode of Mount Dungeon.
The very first episode of Mount Dungeon.
You were an intern at the time.
I was. My email address was actually asktheintern@urtv.org.
I did not know that.
So that was my idea. I coined that one. And Paul Snow came running out of the control room and said, Jonathan, come here, you got to see what these guys are doing. And he told me later, and that was, I guess, DJ Mr. The Best episode, episode 1 of Mount Dungeon. And he was in here doing his thing, and you guys were doing yours, taping him. And Paul told me later that he was really excited because that was the first time he had seen somebody using the studio, like at all, really, in a manner that he was excited about. Typically, I don't know if you guys remember Paul Snow in the very beginning, he was kind of hesitant to actually let even any of the gear go out. He didn't, being that he was responsible for it, I think he had some nerves about how he was going to come back. So for him to come out from that phase to seeing people use it and being excited about it, that moment sticks out in my mind because he came running out and it was exciting. Like, look, you guys see what these guys are doing? People are actually using the studio, right? So.
I'm kind of honored that you associate that story with me, and I'm kind of amazed that it took that long for somebody to actually start doing something really cool with the studio. Because the grand opening, the official grand opening was what, early September?
I think it was August.
Late August, I want to say then maybe?
06, yeah.
Okay. It was sometime in August then, because I know I had just really recently gotten a membership. And officially become a producer, though. I didn't produce anything till January of 07, but so that was a good 4 months in which the place was open, but really nothing was being done with the studio in any sort of exciting capacity, right?
Well, the fact that moment sticks out to me doesn't mean all of it is necessarily available for recall for me. Sure. I do know that to get the classes, for the grand opening, now you got to start having classes and getting people developed enough to do it. So to be fair. We literally were a newborn baby media center at that point, so. And you were the first to crawl out of the crib. when nobody was looking.
I did not, did not kind of expect that sort of association. And it's really weird for me because, like I say, I was at the grand opening, and I'm sitting here now for what we're expecting to probably be the last hour of live TV programming here ever.
Well, ever might be a little harsh, but certainly for an indefinite period of time, the writing's on the wall. Operations here at the Media Center will be suspended indefinitely because of lack of funding from our two significant sources, which are our local municipalities. The county that certifies this channel gets over $1.5 million every year from cable companies, and a portion of that is set aside for public access, education, and government access. And we've received recently pretty much a 90% reduction in support from Buncombe County commissioners, and that is what's happening.
And this is something that is not happening with any other public access station in North Carolina.
No. They're, every other county and facility in the state is getting the funding that is set aside specifically for PEG, and it's unfortunate that this county seems to be the only one not getting it. But I really don't, that's not why I'm coming on the channel here, is to talk about that, even though that is what the reality of the situation is. There's, if I had a big board, I'd probably write the word support in the definition of it. I think some good synonyms might be to assist or to help. And for any county commissioner to say that they support public access, I would ask, how did you do that? How did you assist? How did you help? Because there are no actions, and the actions they are taking are the opposite. So I really don't want to talk about that. There's a couple things. Do you remember, did you watch URTV in the beginning? Do you remember seeing the fishbowl and the office cam?
At the time, I did not have cable TV. Like, the only reason I got cable is so I could watch my own TV show. So admittedly, I missed out on the whole fishbowl experience. I mean, I was aware of it, and I'd come in, I'd see the fishbowl, but...
Well, I think it's funny because actually that was a lot of people who came into the Media Center would say to me, oh, I don't have television, I don't watch TV. And they've got the Kill Your TV bumper stickers on their cars. I don't watch TV, I don't watch, but here's a copy of my show. You should check out my show. And so I think that's funny that, I think you're not alone in the people who went and got charter in order to be able to watch their local channel. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The office cam was another idea they had when I guess people got tired of the fish. So they actually rolled a camera from the studio out into the lobby area of the office, and they stuck that camera on me for like 6 hours a day. When I first started here, I was a volunteer, so I was doing all the grunt work of data entry, and they stuck a camera on me. Not sure how interesting that was to watch. I will be humble enough to admit that more than once I was caught picking my nose, because after about a week of doing it, you kind of forget there's a camera there, and people would call me and be like, yeah, dude, you realize you're on live TV, right?
Is that where you learned your front desk poker face from?
No, that comes with a lot of practice. I lost a lot of hands before I was able to win some, so you have to kind of go through it trial by fire, and it's pretty much always hot in here. So, like I said, never a dull moment. So office cam, actually at some point, we are going to wheel camera one out of the studio and kind of take a look around the facility and show the people at home. Maybe there's some viewers who have never been in the Media Center and only ever think about the programming they see on the channel. There's a whole other side of what you see or don't see that goes on here. That's really where the community part happens. So if you're lucky, we'll take a camera and wheel it out here. It'll be a bit bumpy, so I don't know if it's been a while since they've been out of this room. One of the things I was thinking about, what are some of your favorite moments? You've been here since the beginning. What are some of your favorite moments? I got a couple.
Some of them...
I've got a couple I probably shouldn't mention.
Yeah, some of them I'm not 100% whether or not we should be talking about at this point in the juncture. Although, I do have to say that I do have a certain naughty fondness for all the times that Reverend Johnny Lemuria would bring strippers into this studio and videotape them for his program that was running, say, 2 a.m. to 5 a.m.
Yes, that show never went live.
That show never went live.
There's been a lot that's happened in these four walls in this studio, and I often joke during the orientations, because we include a tour, that I've had everything in here from lecture series with a guy at a podium to the studio audience of 20 or so people, to obviously Mount Dungeon and other people filming live bands in here. I've had roller derby girls roller skating around here, which I think that was part of your show.
I remember that. I remember
derbies.
inviting some of the Blue Ridge roller girls in here now. We cleared out the entire space, put up some
we did put up barriers
in the event that they crashed into some cameras, and they rollered around in here.
Yeah, that was
as
great.
best as they could in a small space.
I will be honest, being that I was here and responsible for the equipment, I was a little concerned myself. But I tell that story as part of the orientation that, yep, we've had roller derby girls roller skating around in here. The fire breathers, they've tried to come here before. I didn't let them in. There could be no fire juggling in here.
Yeah, I understand not wanting to do that.
And I did have one guy try to bring in a horse one time. And by try to bring in a horse, I mean he actually rode the horse to the media center. It was out on the front door eating the grass, and the guy wanted to bring the horse into Studio A. And there was no way in hell I was going to let that happen. So,
how understanding was he about that?
Well, he was obviously someone who rides a horse into the media center is, let's just say, a little unconventional in their thinking. Is that a nice way to say it? So they were pretty easy to. They were trying. They didn't stop trying to convince me, but I've seen way too many of those when animals go wild videos to try to have that conversation with the board or the executive director. What happened to the cameras in Studio A?
Yeah, you know, those cameras are not cheap.
So that was those are pretty good. I think some of the bigger milestones have been, what's going on?
We're black.
We're back. We're black, and then we're back. I heard you never go back once you go black. And we're back. We're back from being black. The rumor is not true. That's a myth. So one of the first things I remember that was really, really cool was the first time we went live. Before the board found a executive director, there was that knew public access and how it worked. We had a group of people who I think were probably scared. Sorry, how rude. Have your phone on during the show. Hey, Brian, I can't answer the phone right now. I'm on TV. So the first time we went live is when our executive director, Pat Garlinghouse, got here. And I think the very first producer meeting after she was hired, she was here and kind of introduced herself to the producers. And one of the first questions was, when can we go live? And she said, right now, immediately. What do you mean you guys aren't going live? You're not doing it already? And I think within 7 days of that, probably less, we were live, doing live television with the Mad Scientist Tea Party, having people in and cooking up tea and mayhem on live television. That was pretty awesome because I think people really started paying attention to the possibilities of what could happen here. I think people, again, until you have somebody who's knowledgeable and has the expertise and background to kind of show you the way, sometimes you don't know what's possible. So you need somebody who's done this before who can come in and say, no, of course you can do that. Of course you can do that. No, you can't do that. But of course you can do that. And I think that really expanded a lot of people's horizons, like, oh my gosh, I could do this. I could do that. Wow, we can go live. And so the Tea Party has a whole host of stories of its own. Some of those are included in my favorite, most memorable moments here. One of which is my parents. Actually, when the first time they visited me, my family's from Northern Virginia, and the first time they came and visited me in Asheville after I graduated college, they were on the Mad Scientist Tea Party. And if I remember correctly, we had some issues with the vector scope, and
Everybody
people were
was blue.
We had the blue people. And so my parents were on that episode, and they were blue. And I do remember my dad was pretty cool. My mom was trying to tell embarrassing stories about me, and I do remember running down the hallway at one point and stopping her. I think my words were, if you tell that story, I will kill the feed. I'm pretty sure is what I said to the room, which of course everybody in the room got a great chuckle out of.
You feel like sharing that story at this point?
Oh, there's no way. There's no way. You have to wait for the memoirs to come out before you're going to hear that story. Probably one of my other favorite ones also happened on the Mad Scientist Tea Party, and both these guys probably get along right now better than they did, so I don't really, sorry if neither one of you want to hear the story or be reminded of it, but it was actually David Connor Jones versus Don Yelton.
That was also very memorable.
I have a copy of that show. There's a couple of programs that I made sure that I got copies of, and that was one of them because I think the premise was Don Yelton, and this is before he became involved here. He didn't have any shows yet. I think he was still skeptical of what public access was or how it was supposed to work. And he guest appeared on the Mad Scientist Tea Party, and him and David Connor Jones had a debate on immigration. And it devolved quite quickly into nearly a fist fight. There was almost a fist fight on live TV, and I imagine the people at home were like, oh my God, like this is crazy. And I was actually nervous and kind of like, oh, this is crazy, because it nearly came to blows. Don Yelton and David Connor Jones talking about immigration policy. One of the best things that's ever happened on this channel. And since then, I think Don Yelton has done probably 150 to 200 shows. He's been a staple of the channel, I think. And that's been another thing that's really been curious to me is people who were scared of public access or a First Amendment forum before, I don't think they ever really saw it in action. And it's been my experience to witness every person who's come into the media center and tried it and given it an honest try. It has changed their perception of URTV, of the Western North Carolina Community Media Center, of public access in general and what it's for. Every single person. So if you've not been to the media center and you're sitting at home watching the TV and like, oh, I don't like the shows, I don't think why it's important, you really miss an opportunity to come down and see what real community looks like. People talk about building community dialogue, politicians, teachers, everything. They talk about diversity. Nobody really understands what those words mean. Nobody really has a way to point to things that actually, where that actually happens. That actually happens here. It actually happens here. And it's been a really unique experience to be a part of it. So I've really enjoyed the ride. So that is one moment where, and Don Yelton's one of them. He, his show, Citizen Speak, was I think the first live call-in show. He was the first one to incorporate the call-in feature of the facilities, and you can see where he took it. I mean, he took it to heights I don't think anybody really understood were possible. He got it immediately. He said, "Oh wait, I can be live. I can interact with my audience," and he was off and running. There was no turning back for him. The technician for his program is Brother Chris, the Mad Monk of Montford.
And don't they make an unlikely pair?
Unlikely is such an understatement. And to talk about how, as a perfect illustration of how this place creates community dialogue, I don't think there's another way or area of society where those two people would interact. I can't think of a single thing, function, event, anything where those two people would interact and come together.
On a friendly nature? No.
Right, right. And here they are. Brother Chris was the studio technician for Don Yelton show for close to 3 years. So that is, while maybe not our best example, it is a very clear example of how community dialogue and bringing people together, because even if you don't like somebody, if you don't like their religious leanings, you don't like their political leanings, if you meet them here, you immediately have something in common. You say, man, I may not like your political leanings, but I really like that camera angle you got. How'd you get that camera angle? Or what editing software are you using? You already have something in common. And that's one is the compulsion to try to express yourself to the people of your community, but the other one is like production techniques and how are you doing that? So it's a really bizarre icebreaker filter thing that happens, and it just happens. It's not like something you can script or manage or make happen. You can't force it. It just happens naturally, and that only happens in public access. There's nowhere else you can do something like that. And again, just because you can't do it, it has to be, the space has to be there for it to happen, and then it just happens. It just happens. It's really weird. I know that sounds hokey, but I've watched it happen, and it's almost like magic. So that's my Blue People and Don Yelton versus David Connor Jones. I thought was pretty funny. One of my other favorite moments was when you guys actually started getting sponsored. Mount Dungeon used to tape a live band in here every Saturday for almost 3 years. I think that you got very close.
A little bit over 2.
Okay, well, you were like 80-something episodes. Almost got to the 100-episode mark. So that's a lot of dedication to these guys coming in every Saturday, making sure the band was here.